The beginning of Fleetwood Mac's golden age, 1975's Fleetwood Mac, their second self-titled album, oddly enough, is the first album to feature Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks. It is also the first to feature the band's golden era lineup of Nicks, Buckingham, Christine McVie, John McVie, and Mick Fleetwood. The songwriting on this album is very, very, very slick. None of the songs are that long, and none of the instrumentation or lyrics is very complex. Everything is stripped to its basics here. Good rhythm throughout, a guitar solo here or there. Lyrics are straightforward yet catchy. All this adds up to a pop blues sound, some mild heartache or brooding here or there. But it's also a very mainstream sound that is very consistent throughout the entire album. There isn't a huge amount of experimentation or innovation going on here, but who needs it when what is there, and where songwriting, instrumentation, singing, is all done with such extreme skill? Almost every song here, bar one, works excellently. The whole album will stick itself in your head forever, but never in an annoying way. This album is delivered so well that it would take a miracle for anyone, even the band itself, to ever come close to touching in terms of quality ever again. Lindsey Buckingham makes his first appearance in the band, at least by way of album track listing, on the song Monday Morning. The album makes a good impression right off the bat with the vocals, lyrics, and guitar playing, all being at their sharpest, making this a great way to open the album. Both musically and lyrically, it very much fits the sound of Fleetwood Mac would have throughout the golden era. A light sound with a strong rhythm throughout, and with the other instruments and lyrics skirting the line between blues and a more mainstream pop rock sound. Warm Ways is a nice and gentle song. You've got Christine McVie's vocals and a great backing both vocally and instrumentally. It's very soft and a very smooth and sweet sound. It's not too notable. I don't really have much to say about it, but it is a very, very nice sounding song. Blue Letter is another up-tempo poppy song similar to Monday Morning. The lyrics are a nice bit of breakup or romantic tone-model nonsense, and is a very well-delivered song. Stevie Nicks' backing vocals play very well with Buckingham's lead to create a very nice sound, and overall the song is very catchy and fun, even if there isn't really a huge amount of depth to the lyrics. Rhiannon is really Stevie Nicks' first chance in the spotlight, and she very much steals the show here. The song's lyrics are very simple yet effective, telling the story of a witch or a woman who is an elusive subject of desire within the song. The opening chords are instantly memorable, and the guitar solo towards the end is also great. This is the first and possibly the best in a long line of quasi-magical Stevie Nicks / Fleetwood Mac songs, and is arguably the album's centerpiece, or at least probably the strongest support of the album. Over My Head is another upbeat and poppy song, this time written and performed by Christine McVie. As usual, it is played and sung very well and features a good energy throughout, though I do feel it is slightly too short. There's not a huge amount I could say about it that I haven't already said about some of the songs on this side, but it will inevitably end up stuck in your head, and it sounds just really great. It is very catchy. Throughout this album, Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks have done a thing where Buckingham sings lead, and Nicks does a vocal harmony that is mixed significantly quieter. This adds a lot to the excellent sound and ambience on the songs that have Buckingham on lead, and nowhere is this more prominent than on the song Crystal. Lyrically, it's some sort of nice-sounding mystical country stuff, and it also features some very nice playing, especially the keyboard flourishes, but the main attraction here is really the lyrics. Another solid song to round out a great side of the album. Say You Love Me is yet another great Christine McVie song. McVie, Nicks, and Buckingham have all showed very sharp talents at both singing and songwriting throughout this album, and Say You Love Me is yet another prime example of it. The lyrics are great, Christine McVie's lead vocals are great, and Nicks and Buckingham's backing vocals are great. The harmonization at the end is great, and overall the song has a very nice upbeat flow to it. A certified classic. Landslide is a slow ballad, probably the slowest and softest song on this album, and one of the slower and softest songs of the band's career as well. Stevie Nicks manages to conjure up a wiseness beyond her years here, both in the lyrics and the vocal performance. The song is not complex at all. It's quite simple, but everything just clicks into place perfectly on it, which is no small feat for someone as early in their career as Stevie Nicks was at the time. Honestly, it's honestly quite a high watermark right there, in terms of just a career in general, musically. World Turning is perhaps the hardest song of the album. The softer rhythms are still there, but the drums are a lot more forceful and thumping than on the album's other songs. Lindsey Buckingham and Christine McVie's vocals play off each other very well. Indeed, their voices are surprisingly similar when you think about it, almost like the opposite gender versions of each other. This is the first song where they ever get any really decent alternating interplay between their voices, something that would become more important later on Rumors' song Don't Stop. Sugar Daddy is the only miss on the album. The lyrics are unmemorable and mildly insipid, and I feel the vocal track is mixed way too low. The instrumentation is still quite good, but it feels quite incomplete compared to the rest of the songs on the album, almost like it just didn't have enough time to really completely work itself out properly. I'm So Afraid is a bit of a departure from the rest of the album's relatively light sound. The instrumentation here can be quite sinister sounding, especially the guitar parts. Lyrically and vocally, it's a bit wangsty, but Lindsey Buckingham manages to pull it off in a way that mostly sells it. It's a dark, broody song, but with relatively simple lyric that keeps it consistent with the rest of the album's more kind of fluffier sound. So, time to look at the sleeve. I will be honest, I actually really like the sleeve, but at the same time I feel like it doesn't really succeed in being strongly indicative of the sound on the album. Like, it's nice, but like if I went to a store in 1975 and I saw this, I'd be like, oh, what's this? Some sort of like classical, sort of maybe classical rock, maybe, or like maybe just like really pretentious jazz rock. I wouldn't think it's kind of the like blues pop, kind of vaguely country sounding stuff that's, you know, what's actually on this album. I mean, it looks like a good album, but it doesn't look like as good of an album as what's actually on here. I do, however, like the Fleetwood Mac font up there and the logo. I think that's really nice, actually. But, you know, calligraphy isn't really a thing that's considered that like popular of like a profession or anything anymore. But you know, you gotta give it to some good font design. You know, and that is quite nice. But some of the rest of this I don't understand. We've got John McVie here on his knees, so he looks like really short, and then you got Mick Fleetwood here, but Mick Fleetwood doesn't really look like himself. He's got like a cane and a wine glass, and they've got this kind of like abstract doorway, which honestly is probably the nicest part of it. And you have this ball that he's like throwing. I don't quite understand that, and neither one of them's really dressed like really how they really should, or really how I think of them. Back of the sleeve, it's a bit better. They look more like themselves there, and you also get the kind of full lineup as opposed to, you know, just the two, you know, Fleetwood and Mac on the cover. It's kind of a nice picture, but as I was doing the prepping for this video, I actually realized I think they're in like a bathroom. Like, I don't understand why that is, if like the budget wasn't there for this, but like they do indeed appear to be in a bathroom. I mean, you've got like sinks. I think that's like a paper towel dispenser, like for like drying your hands there. And clearly you got mirrors. You do have some nice looking lights, which I don't really understand like where this bathroom is, like what it's in. And like the like tile down there, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to give kind of like a nice kind of American diner vibe, maybe. But the lights kind of don't really look very diner-y to me. Although maybe, what do I know? Like that right there, I'm pretty sure that's a garbage can for putting the paper towels in. So like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't quite understand. It's like the band do actually look like themselves here. They look quite good. This is probably the least stoned looking I've ever seen Lindsey Buckingham, which isn't saying much because he still looks kind of stoned, but probably the least stoned I've ever seen him. But like, I don't understand why they're in the bathroom. Like, it's a nice like lineup shot of them, and they all look good in it. But like, I just don't understand why they're in the bathroom. And of course, you've got the track listing and stuff, and the notes down here. This album also, in addition to, it has just a plain Rhiannon. There it is. There's the label for record again, Reprise Records. Kind of a basic thing you see around this time. That does also have a nice little lyric sheet. There it is. It's got the same nice Fleetwood Mac logo above it. It's got the Fleetwood Mac penguins. You got this one who's like taking his hat off. You got this one with a nice little ball. You got this one kind of laying down, and you got this one bowing. And then you got all the lyrics in a kind of white and black. It's all, there's no color ink or anything on here, but it is easy to read at least. On the other side, you've got the penguins again, and the lyrics for love songs, although I do kind of wish it had different penguins here. I mean, these are the same illustrations, just kind of arranged differently. There's only 4 actually unique penguin illustrations on here, but there's 8 printed. There's 4 of each one on each side. So it's never repeated on the side, but it is repeated on each side, so there that is again. Overall, nice addition, and overall, a pretty well put together package. I mean, this is kind of an artsy looking, nice sleeve. I mean, honestly, it could be prog rock or something too, I guess. I mean, it's kind of a weird, it's pseudo artsy sort of thing. But it isn't very indicative of the band's sound, I don't feel like. I really don't feel like this screams Fleetwood Mac to me, Rumors is, honestly, has kind of the same style with them kind of being dressed up, but it fits a little bit better than this, I feel like. Also, I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but the sleeve is actually slightly kind of textured. I don't really know how to explain it, if it's kind of like a fake livery thing or what. It is slightly textured, different than the most albums is cardboard stock usually is. I don't really understand exactly how to explain it. Like, I don't know if it's supposed to be kind of like a fake level, kind of live wet sort of thing, but it is ever so slightly textured. It's really hard to tell, but it is ever so slightly different. So overall, this album is, honestly, I feel like very strong. I mean, this is a very high watermark, not just for the band, but for music going forward for at least the next half decade after it. Almost every track on here really is amazing, except for Sugar Daddy, so I do feel like that is, it's a very, very great album. One of the best albums of the 1970s, even. I personally like it more than Rumors, but I know that most people don't. So anyways, time to get on to the final reviews of the songs in the album. I've already kind of said kind of my opinions on the album, but I will give its number here at the end. Monday Morning, I give 10 out of 10. Warm Ways, I give 9 out of 10. Blue Letter, I give 9 out of 10. Rhiannon, I give 10 out of 10. Over My Head, I give 9 out of 10. Crystal, I give 9 out of 10. Say You Love Me, I give 10 out of 10. Landslide, I give 10 out of 10. World Turning, I give 9 out of 10. Sugar Daddy, I give 5 out of 10. I'm So Afraid, I give 9 out of 10. And overall, as I'm pretty sure you guessed from me saying this earlier, I give a 10 out of 10. You really just can't get that much better than this. One song is a dud, sure, but like everything else that's there, that's such a high watermark, it can't even push it down from a 10 out of 10, because it really does. And even that isn't like a jarring, like, change in the style. I mean, it does sound kind of like those stuff, it's a whole lot worse, but it's not like a jarring, like, it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. I mean, it does sound in the same vein.